Welcome to the Average John podcast, a podcast about mindset, growth, and finding meaning as an ordinary guy becoming better. If you've ever felt stuck, unfulfilled, or like there's more in you, come and follow along. Please like, comment, and subscribe to be a part of the journey. And let's grow together. Okay, welcome back to the Average On podcast. I'm going to start first with a brief update. There was no podcast on the 1st of January. I just got pretty busy over the holiday period. But I've decided and done a lot of reflecting recently that my aim and my goal for this year, if you want my yearly thing, the word's escaping me right now, so is basically imperfect action. The theme, that's it. The theme for my year is imperfect action. So, for instance, in the past, if I had missed that, I need to get a podcast out the 1st of January, I need to get a podcast out, and I missed it, I would end up not putting any podcast out at all. Now, I am definitely a perfectionist, and I have learned to keep that at bay. Sometimes it comes up, and I need to kind of rein that back in. And another kind of part of that as well was having to create the perfect video. And doing so much research into different things, like what's the best thing for you guys, for my audience, rather than it being, this is about average John, down to earth, imperfect, we're all imperfect, we've all got imperfections, we all struggle, and this was the whole idea. But what happens is my mind then goes, I need to create the best podcast with a well rehearsed script and ideas, and I need to know what I'm talking about, for the whole time. And to be honest, it's not realistic, and I don't actually think it's valuable to constantly do things too polished. So, what I wanted to start the year off with is a question that I suppose everything in this channel and me, right, it is about mindset. So, what is mindset? Let's have an exploration of it. Now, I have sat and I've went through different ways of explaining it and trying to get that, and I'm just going to go, I've got some notes here, I've got some cues. I'll try just to keep it structured, because what I don't want to do is come onto these podcasts and be doing, just total off in tangents. I want the subject to be relatable. I want it to be specific. I want it to be helpful. Yes, I'm going to have my own ideas, opinions, and thoughts as we go on these subjects from my own experience and what I've learned and what I'm continuing to learn. But I kind of want it to flow. I want it to be, okay, if we're talking about what is mindset, do you come away from it knowing, all right, I've got an idea of what mindset is and some kind of components of it, etc. So, yeah, I do have some notes here. What I don't want to be is reading off them. I just kind of want to get some ideas and make sure I'm sticking to the same train of thought. So, the other thing I'm going to do is I have been recording and haven't released them yet since the start of my kind of fitness journey from June last year. I was doing progress vlogs. Oh, somebody's liked my story. That's good if you heard that. I've been doing progress vlogs and I haven't released them, and I thought about, should I just do a batch? Should I do because there hasn't been one? And I've got so much kind of perspective to reflect back on this journey. There's a bit of a gap. Should I then record one, which is what I'm going to do? Record one of a snapshot like now, and then release them all maybe 1 week at a time leading up, just so that you guys can kind of see this journey. There's a bit of a gap, yes, but that's fine. The goal is long term, the same way you should be looking at it. It's like zoom out and look back. I've been on an incredible journey for the past, 8 months, 9 months. And just because a couple of months of missing, a vlog or a progress vlog, you just pick yourself up and get back onto it, exactly what I'm doing now. The perfectionism's been sitting going, make sure this is great, make sure this is great, it has to be the best, has to be the best, blah, blah, blah. So, yes, let's just, without further ado, I'm going to silence my phone, imperfect and all that. on, and I don't think I can. Well, if anybody knows how to sort out the notifications in my MacBook, because I don't think I can silence them. Let me check. I'm just going to put sound down. That should be it. We'll see. Yeah, so to round that up, there's going to be a progress vlog. There's going to be a release of other progress vlogs, and I think I'm just going to call them average vlogs. They're not going to be podcast episodes, albeit they might be 10, 15 minutes, depending how much I've ranted or how much perspective I feel that I've got to give. So there's that. We're going to do the progress vlogs, average vlogs. I'm going to release the ones that I've got to date once they're edited, etc., and release them maybe 1 week at a time across February or March, and then a most recent up to date one. And for now, we're going to dig into what is mindset. So, what is mindset? People throw that word around a lot, and even myself, if I say mindset, some people might be like, what really is that? What builds that? What building blocks create mindset? And you hear things like growth mindset, fixed mindset, building a strong mindset, changing your mindset, rewiring your mindset. You need the right mindset. What actually is it? And what does it actually mean? It's not about being positive all the time. It's not about, pretending everything's fine while everything else behind you's on fire. Um, it's a perception. It's a perception of how you see the world, how you see yourself internally, how you how you understand and internalize experiences. It's a way to look at it as the lens that you look through. This camera's obviously a lens. You get wide angles, you get things that make things look slightly different. Um so yeah, it's how you interpret what's going on in the world, what's going on inside you, and those things, how they interact. Two people can go through the exact same experience, right? And it might be traumatic, and one person could go a total opposite way than the other, the exact same experience, and that will be their mindset, how they've perceived that, and the kind of internal beliefs or thoughts and emotions that's happening can lead one person down a path of, an extremely negative and dark place, and it can also happen to someone and pull them into a really positive place. So yeah, it's basically your lens. Mindset is your lens. And a good way of looking at it is your mind's like a filter, right? It filters things out. Everything you experience goes through that filter. Um, if that filter has got, self criticism, perfectionism, doubts, you know, t- these kind of negative connotation, it could be pain. There's pain in that filter. Everything if you've got those sort of things in your filter, everything you see is going to look darker because you're looking through life the lens of all these things. Self criticism, self doubt, perfectionism, all these things that can be negative. But if you start to kind of clear that, if your filter is like full of things like or you've changed it that it's the self criticism is rewired to self belief. If you look at things, what else we got? Perfectionism. If all or nothing thinking. If that perfectionism is there and it's forcing you see everything thinking that I need to be and I need to do that and I need to think like that. That's a lens. That's your mindset. I just battered that mic. And that definitely was my mindset previously. I expected so much from myself, so every small thing that I didn't win, every small thing that wasn't quite right, um, just created this negative spiral, and everything then was just negative. There's no point in going on, etc., etc. So if you start kind of clearing that this filter, it could be clogged. If you start clearing these, and now there's techniques to do that, if you start clearing those things like self doubt, self criticism, perfectionism, once you're aware of them and you can start, working on getting them out the way, you see life a whole lot clearer and you feel much more in control. Um, of how you perceive things. You can change. It's like you can change your perspective on anything when you have a bit more knowledge. Um, I always like to think and link things back to like being street smart, right? You can see things slightly differently. You may walk along a street, right? And for all you know, there's some dodgy stuff going on, right? But you don't see any of that. And then when you have the knowledge of actually what's went on, or you see a newspaper story when you were walking by and didn't even see, this was going on and that was going on, and you start to then readjust. And you walk down the street, and then your perception is maybe a bit more switched on of, okay, don't go down that dark alleyway because no one's around and someone could be in there, etc., etc. Your perception's changed. Your perception is now more street smart. And it's the exact same way looking at mindset. When you have knowledge of how these things work, how the brain works, awareness of how you react naturally in situations and maybe why they're like that, with like a core belief or beliefs you had bring up and experience, you can then at least go, right, how do I shift that? Is that really factual? It's the thing about potentially being quick to judge, or if someone tells you, if you've grown up thinking, rich people are bad is a good one I heard, right? Rich people are bad. You're probably going to have that perception, and you maybe see someone that has got a lot of money and automatically look at them a certain way, and then you look at fact and you go, well, no, I know this person, I've got to know this person that has got a lot of money, and they're the nicest person, and they help charities, they're charitable, they do they use it as a tool to really try and create a difference and better. You then look at that fact and can change your perception of people with money, for instance. So without going off in too much of a tangent, talking about clearing the kind of filter and perception, you potentially might have seen before like a bad day as a failure. I have failed, rather than, so you could change that to look at that as feedback. Why did that happen? Is there a reason for it? Can I then do something different, or can I notice something to kind of change that? You build understanding. So rather than seeing something as a failure, a bad day is a failure, a bad day is feedback for you to get better. It is, it's like there's that kind of saying, like, if you are 50 failures away from success, how quickly do you want to fail? You need these failures, you need these things to happen in life that make you question. And as long as you learn from them, like for instance, before, if I had a bad day and I sat about, just felt wiped out of energy and didn't achieve the goals I had set for the day, I'm a completely failure. I'm a complete failure. There's no point in doing anything. There's no point in even trying. That's it. I've failed again and getting into that kind of negative loop. Rather than going, right, why did that happen? Have I been burning the candle at both ends? Have I not been getting enough sleep? This is my body, or mind is it's feeding back to me to say you need to change something. So then you go, right, okay, what lead up to that? You kind of reflect on it. What led up to that? And a key thing there is patience. What led to that? What can I do differently? And then going, right, okay, this has happened. Now we kind of go and we just stay patient with ourselves to figure out, you know, and take the lesson. What lesson can I take out of this? You let the lesson sink in, and then you crack back on. You are now more equipped for when you feel like you've had a bad day. You go like that, do you know what? It's that. And then you just keep going. Or you can then recognise, I'm getting stuck into this loop, this thing's happening. I need to pull back, or I need to rest more, or I need to get more sleep before I hit that bad day. So then you've changed your mindset surrounding failure and having a bad day. You've changed your perception. Another one for sure is interpret other people's reactions. I used to take everything, I think, pretty personally, or think that, one wrong word or one interaction that may not have been great was a reflection what that person thought of me, or my value as a person rather than looking at going, that person genuinely might have had a, might be a bit annoyed, might have something going on at home or something and they've just been short. That's not a reflection on me, it's a reflection on them. And you start to then build an empathy for other people because you go, it's probably that. Now there's a limit to that. There's a limit to letting someone, speak to you a certain way and saying and constantly excusing it. But you can also just have a, rather than taking things personally all the time, you can, have that kind of that resilience of looking at things different and not having it negatively reflect on you. Oh well, maybe they're having a bad day. They can crack on and have a bad day. I'm going to go on with what I'm getting on with. Again, that's a different perspective. It's a mindset, or part of your mindset that you can change. Challenges is the other one. Why me? This thing's happened to me. Why me? And we've kind of touched on it before. What can I learn for this? What can I do to use my situation right now to get better longer term? To change how I am, to up, to improve myself, to grow. It's, I'm trying to think, there's a quote right that we don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. That is like, I can't even pronounce the person whose name that is. We see things through our own lens. We see things how we are, how we internalize them, how we understand them, how we take them, how we think about them, rather than the way they just actually are. So, yeah, mindset, perception, and filter are two kind of key things. I want to kind of move on to a second part, and it's like layers of mindset. This is, I suppose, it's a bit of a kind of structure to it. So this thing is kind of like if mindset's a lens, right? What shapes that lens? What makes that up? What's the components of that lens? So you've got kind of four main parts of that. You've got beliefs, you've got thoughts, you've got emotions, and then action and habit. So your belief, what you believe about yourself and the world, is determines what where you'll kind of go. Your beliefs are kind of deep seated, and a lot of them are kind of maybe even subconscious that are driving behaviour. I'm saying behaviours, we'll go through that, but behaviours, I suppose, actions and habits are the fourth part. So we've got beliefs, right, that are kind of at the core. Then you've got thoughts. So your beliefs are going to shape your thoughts and what you think about. Thoughts then invoke emotions. So if you believe that you are not good enough or you're worthless, they're going to drive thoughts. So when you see something, you think like the failure, like a bad day, I'm worthless, I'm rubbish, right? That then creates an emotion, sadness, depressive state, etc. That will then drive actions, habits. What happens when you feel down, you feel depressed? You might, like I did, binge TV, withdraw from people, um, not do anything, sleep a lot, which is the opposite of what you want to do. You're trying to pull yourself out of that, but then you can, bring that to a belief, that worthlessness or that anything else that's maybe negative in that. For me, I'm kind of wanting to relate to that about being feeling not good enough is the other one. So you're not good enough. That's driving a thought. Oh, that this means this thing that's happened means I'm not good enough. That's then driving a I feel down, I feel sad, so I'm not going to do anything. So therefore, if you're trying to break and change actions and habits, it's anchored down at beliefs. You then have to build up a belief that you're not worthless, which a lot of times is due to actions and habits, but there is other kind of mindset work and actually looking through, um, just looking through knowledge and how the brain works to rewire these and where they came from, and if there's actually evidence that supports their beliefs, which for me, again, there wasn't when I looked at myself. I am worthless. Really looking at evidence, I trained myself to believe that for so long that was driving these thoughts, emotions, and then actions and habits. The flip side of that is like, I actually was not worthless. I'm bringing a lot of worth and value to a lot of areas and a lot of people in my life. Just, I didn't feel that belief was there. When that belief changed to more balance, that kind of sets the stage. You're built, it's building blocks of then beliefs, better thoughts and thought patterns, lead to emotions, more positive emotions, less of the negative emotions, and then actions and habits can build on top of them. Um, and one thing I kind of just want to speak about with regards to emotions, because one thing that's been massive in my journey is learning to sit with emotions. There may be things, right, that make you feel sad, that make you feel frustrated, that make you feel hopeless, that make you feel helpless. And a lot of the times, these things, you know, if you just sit with them, you don't make a decision, you don't, it's like amplifying them. At times, you might just feel sad. And I think I touched it in a previous podcast about like feeling down and then looking at the kind of wine. It's like, oh, I drank alcohol, so it's fine. I'll be fine tomorrow. Sometimes you need to sit and ride the storm. And I still have emotions. I still have things, feelings of frustration, feelings of, I should be doing better and things like that. If I allow that to take over and believe it, if you will, and what's the other kind of word? If I allow that to take over, if I allow that to drive decisions I'm making, it always ends up worse rather than going, okay, I feel frustrated about this. Just sit with the frustration. It's cool. This frustration will pass. Don't allow that to then go, I need to, it's like it can initiate panic. If you've got a calmness of, this will pass, maybe I need to do a couple of things to kind of work on it. But rather than frantically, drowning, flapping, making decisions, I need to stop doing this or that. And it's that calmness of sitting with emotions and sometimes just allowing them to be. It's like if you've got waves, sometimes you need to just kind of allow the wave to come and pass over, and then it's away again. It's like, right, let's continue. Um, okay, I'm aware of time, so I don't want it to be too long. I'm trying to get these under 20 minutes, but I'm going to say between 20 and 30 minutes is fine. So the next part, building a better mindset. So I suppose one of the key things is you've already got a mindset. Everybody's got a mindset. The question is then, is it working for you or against you? Is it making you better? Is it making you worse? So you then need to kind of explore a few different areas. How you become aware of your patterns, right? So that's one thing. Have a look at your patterns. You can do this through reflection, journaling, gratitude, prayer is another one. Um, getting feedback for other people. Have a look and try, self awareness as a foundation, it's key. Where, what is driving this? What is making me do these things? Making me think like that? You know, you can't have a, you can't hit a target if you've no actually painted it, if you will. You can't hit anything if there's no a target there. You need to have a target and go, okay, where's the places that I need to actually improve on? So there's a lot of kind of internal reflection work that you can do through a lot of different areas. I'm actually going to put a link. What I'll do is, because journaling's a good one. I'm actually going to put, there's a morning journal that I've came up. There's an average John one that I've got a few different areas of it that are good for thinking about these things daily. I don't use it every single day in my life, but I'll go through periods of going, right, I need to kind of get a bit more, see a season of, I need to do a bit more internalising and a lot more focus in these areas. And it's pulled for different resources that I've found useful. So I'm going to link that in the description down below. Feel free to have it. And I'll maybe make a short video as well on what to do and how to go through it at a later date. But yeah, so the first thing is becoming aware of patterns, so self-awareness. Then you have to look at actually shifting the perception, maybe replacing these things like I can't or I'm not able to with like what if I could? Or why? Why can't I? Because Most people have that already in them. Like, you can do it. You've just been telling yourself, and your subconscious for so long has been telling you that you can't do it. You know, your deep seated belief of you can't do it is driving your subconscious to make that belief true. So if you start really going, I can do that, it's and changing these perceptions of, yeah, like I actually maybe can. There is potential, if I work hard I can do this. That kind of starts changing your mindset as well, because you then think, I actually can control these things, I can feel better. And as you put these small steps together over time, they build up and you get confidence in them and go, wow, this really works. It's the only way to do it is to kind of just start, build momentum. Um, and yeah, the other one is about spotting mindset drift. So you can have, like I've just said about that perfectionism for me, you can have yourself in this really good mindset, you've built it up and you're working. Sometimes, like, life happens, life is chaos, some things come up, life happens, and these things can come up. Fatigue, comparison, self-doubt, things like this, perfectionism for me creeping back in. And you're like, you learn to recognise that and go, right, what do I need to do about this? I maybe need to spend time, like I say, I need to spend the next week journaling and thinking about perfectionism and what the techniques I've done before, and remind myself. That's when you kind of get self-efficient, if you will, at doing that. And having good people around about you is key as well, because they might notice things like that. And before I would take everything, like I said, personally, if someone maybe challenged a behavioural pattern, it linked right back to feeling like they're attacking me as a person, didn't like it, and I kind of maybe snapped. Didn't like it, or it kind of made me spiral a little bit, rather than taking that as this person's giving me feedback so that I can go, you're right, I need to shift and go back to, techniques. I'll learn how to do something better or increase knowledge in this area of how to do that. So yeah, I'm going to kind of wrap it up because I don't want to go on for too much longer. And the last one is like some reflection questions for you guys as the listeners. So here's a couple of kind of deep things to think about. So thank you very much if you've came to the end. Maybe write these things down and have a think about them. The first one is, and I'll link them in the comments below so you can actually have them as well. First one, what filter am I seeing life through right now? Is it full of self-doubt? Is it full of perfectionism? Is it full of self-worth? What was the other one we said up here? Yeah, self-criticism, pain, doubt. What filter am I seeing life through right now? Have a think about it. Second one, where does my perception, so perception, we're kind of interchanging with mindset here. Where does my perception or mindset help me, and where does it hold me back? Again, I'll go back to this thing. When perfectionism for me comes up, it holds me back because it stops me doing things like this, because everything needs to be perfect. And where does it help me? My mindset. Let me think I'm trying to think of something that's like a powerful one for me. The lack of not self-control, the lack of self-shame, if you will. I keep forgetting these words. It's not self-shame, it is self-criticism. I've done a lot of work to kind of take that away. Now, I can be critical of myself, but not to the point of beating myself up. So that change of, not spiraling, that filter, that helps me, because I'm like, I'm good, I can do this, I just need to do like A, B, and C. Don't deep it, don't, flap about it, don't over dramatize about it, don't get over emotional about it. That helps me because it just allows me to, experience, rather than come off a cliff and come down to nothing, I can experience a dip and go, oh right, that's it, and then just start coming back up on my journey. It doesn't need to be this all or nothing crash. So that's where my perspective and perception and mindset help me. So the third one, how can I reframe one negative situation I've been stuck on lately? So think about what's one thing you're sitting that's maybe a negative situation. You maybe been stuck on it, you're ruminating on it, you're overthinking on it. How can I reframe one thing? So the three again, three things to think about. What filter am I seeing life through right now? Is it self-critical? Is it doubt? Is it pain? Is it fear? Second one, where does my perception or where does my mindset help me? I really need to get this maximum recording thing wiped. 30 minutes this thing kicks out at. So yeah, I'm just going to redo those things. The first one, what filter am I seeing life through right now? Is that doubt, pain, fear, self-criticism? Um, Second one, where does my perception or where does my mindset help me and where does it hold me back? Have a think about that, and obviously the things that help you, good. Things that don't, how can we work on that? And the third one, yeah, how can I reframe one negative situation I've been stuck on lately? How can I see that in a different way? How can I change my perspective? If anybody's done any of them, feel free to share them. You can share them personal with me, but if you've done these, let us know how you got on in the comments below. And excuse me, as always, thank you very much for listening. If it made you think, hit follow, share it with someone who needs it. I hope you've learned a bit about what mindset actually is. And I look forward to seeing you again in the next one. Thank you and take care.